Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Open Diner where we can relax, where everyone knows your name, right? And we can just feel at home taking our favorite brew and our meal. So don't forget to have your food ready. Thank you for coming. I just want you to realize this is a safe environment for all of us. We can just be ourselves. And for this particular episode, we're going to focus on an interesting, very interesting topic. It's called non-zero sum games. I hope it's intriguing enough for you. It was intriguing for me. We're going to think about how this competitive world is and how it drives us crazy and how it's time now to collaborate. You know, we live in a world that demands too much, and it's wonderful to be in a place like this where we can just relax and feel at home. We have some special guests. We have Richard Chapman, who's going to be in our video. He's a scientist by training. Woohoo, scientist, right? There was an episode about chemistry, so I love scientists. He spent 10 years working for big companies in innovation and marketing, 15 years consulting with global companies on where and how growth will come. And this is a perspective that allows us to challenge the paradigm we're talking about. And growth is important, but how? And then we also have Tim Knox, who created the video. He's an artist, photographer, filmmaker, Renaissance man of sorts. He uses his medium to explore what it is to be human. And he takes art to build connections with the viewer and the viewed, to invite and deepen questions about our human experience. So we're very lucky and fortunate to have them in this very special environment. I want you to know that we're streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. And then at the very end of our special experience, we hope that you'll stay up to 15 minutes to socialize, ask questions, and just share your time. Hope everyone is at home. I want everyone to enjoy, drink. And at this point now, I'll turn it over to Elise to give us some logistics on the Open Diner.
Hi, friends. I'm jumping in just for a second to remind everyone who is maybe first time using Zoom or not that familiar with the Zoom. There is a mute and unmute and mute button at the left bottom corner of your window. So please use it. We cannot unmute you, so you have to do it. If you want to speak, please do it. The very important part is to mute yourself after you finished what you wanted to deliver. So let's use this button. Let's learn how to use it. Thank you for the opportunity to say that.
Super. Thank you so much, Elise. So hope everyone's at home, feeling good and settling in. And right now, to just keep the rhythm, the mood, the warmth going, we're going to go to some live music.
Thanks, Lucian. It's amazing that you said that you're going to talk about a non-zero sum game, because I wrote a song called Non-Zero Sum Game. Actually, I didn't. I'm doing open source music whenever I come here on the Open Diner. These are little snippets of songs that I've created, and if you hear it on the internet and want to take it, make it your own, it's just like open source software. One day maybe we won't have copyrights on music, right? So this was called something else, but Non-Zero Sum Game actually works. So I'm going to put that in as the title. Don't hide behind a holy nation, waiting for your destination. Come and join the celebration, a non-zero sum game. How did we rely on space and rockets that defy our ration? Elevated to the station, a non-zero sum game. I don't ever want to be lonely again, playing the game. I don't ever want to be lonely. destination. Come and join the celebration, a non-zero sum game. Oh, how did we rely on space, on rockets that defy our ration? Elevator to the station, a non-zero sum game. It's a non-zero sum game. It's a non-zero sum game.
That was great. Thank you so much, David. It's so nice to be here with everybody. So we just wanted to start out with, this is just an icebreaker, guys. This is just so we can kind of get to know each other. So we just wanted to hear from everybody. Hopefully everybody will get a chance to speak. I'm Sarah, by the way. And we just wanted to hear, when you were a kid, what was something that you dreamed about doing? So this doesn't necessarily have to be a vocation, but what was a dream of something that you might do when you were older? And I'm going to call on the first guest, and I'm going to call on Carl.
That's crazy. Okay. Well, I dreamt all the time that I was flying, and I would fly like I was swimming through the water, swimming through the air. But my parents always had people over. They always entertained people. So that's what I had in my head, and I wanted to do it. And, you know, it kind of turned out that way. Here I am. Sometimes I'm the host here on the Open Diner, and I dreamed of hosting people and having a good time. Do I call on somebody?
Yes.
Okay. How about Dawn Vines?
You like picking on me, don't you? Okay, Adrian, you get ready. I'm calling on you next. The question was what you always dreamed of as a child, of like doing or being. Was that right, Sarah? Sarah's eating. Yes, okay. When I was a child, I always dreamed of being a veterinarian because I loved animals. And I remember telling my mom that I couldn't handle if they died. So I didn't want to be a vet. And she said, but think of all the ones that you would save. But I still didn't go down that path. And that's okay. Adrian, you're up. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for calling on me. Well, the first thing I thought of when you said that was my cousin Christy and I grew up in a very rural North Carolina, and my cousin Christy and I used to just hang out in our underwear outside all the time. And I used to replay this over and over again, that a man would come up with 2 ponies and tell us that he didn't have anybody to give them to, and could we take the ponies off his hands. And so we'd be sitting there in our underwear, and this guy just came up and gave us 2 ponies. So I think I thought if I dreamed about that enough, it would actually happen, but it never did.
How can I make my name Nancy instead of 445647?
Nancy, we'll get into that in a minute, okay? We just want to continue going around.
Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry. Skip it. I'm sorry.
Adrienne, can you call on somebody else, please?
Yes, I'll call on Alan.
I knew it. I knew I was going to have to. How do I follow up on being in my underwear riding horses? Man. Well, when I was a kid, especially this time of the year during the summertime, I was consumed by playing baseball. I played baseball from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed. Literally, I played on 2 baseball teams usually. And if I wasn't doing that, I was playing wiffle ball in my backyards. And so at that time, during that time period, I thought how cool it would be to do this as a living. Who wouldn't want to play baseball as a grown up, as a job, how great would that be? So that's what I dreamt of most of the time until I realized that very few people get to do that. So we are going to go with, well, because she is, I'm going to see what Ami dreamt about.
I knew it. Mine is a little complicated. I wanted to be everything when I was a kid. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, a pilot, a war traveler, a police officer, a detective, a public speaker. So I couldn't decide. And an artist, a musician. I tried to tackle this to at least get to 2 or 3 of them, but I failed. So I became a pharmacist. Close enough, right? A little bit of all of them in a pharmacist, I think, because we have to be a detective. We have your health professionals. We have to, kind of think about other people. So I ended up having a little bit of all of them in me. I am going to go with Denise.
Yeah, hi, I'm Denise. I live in Massachusetts, and there's just like you, I've so many different things. I mean, the first thing that comes to the vocation, I wanted to be a librarian, which is, sort of everything's electronic now, but at the time, but I think it was because when I was a kid, I used to go to the library with my dad, and I think I really enjoyed spending. In fact, he's 91, and I saw him for the first time with lots of restrictions and distance and masks today since March. So it's kind of exciting. But I think that was one of the things. I love the smell of the books and the quietness. Like you could hear the lights on the ceiling, the fluorescent lights buzzing, and it was just, I don't know, such a special place. But then the other thing I'd like to do is we used to get up on the fireplace mantle, and I wanted to be a backup singer. We had boots. This was back a long time ago with girlfriends, and I wanted to, be one of the backup singers for anything. So, how about, is it Ilana?
Yes, it is. Actually, I said my name perfectly. Usually it's not easy. Well, hi everyone. I'm from New York. Some of you already know me. I don't know, I dreamt about being many things and doing many things as many of you here, but probably mostly a musician. I really loved music, playing music since I was a child, and I actually studied music afterwards for a pretty long time, but I never became one. I'm actually an executive assistant and office manager, not really connected, but sometimes I, sing to myself. And I will choose Frank. Frank, you are muted.
You got to unmute, Frank. We're missing all those beautiful words. Probably should pick
Frank?
another. Yeah.
Frank, we can't hear you. Can you unmute? Oh, that's such a shame.
The
Frank?
unmute button is on the bottom left of your Zoom screen. Do you see it?
I don't see a button. I think it's unmuted or something.
You got to hear from Frank.
I don't think he hears us.
If you click your name.
Frank is trying a different device. We're connected
we're
with a
gonna-
different device.
We're going to keep moving until he gets back. I would love to hear from Richard.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. Yeah, I feel I've had my thunder stolen a bit by Dawn. I wanted to be a vet as well when I was younger, but I couldn't really stand the sight of animals in pain, so that went out the window. I wanted to be a firefighter, but specifically the guys at the airport that drive those great big 6-wheel trucks with the big hose on the top and, you know, bomb up and down the airport. I thought that was a pretty safe way of being a firefighter because there's hardly any fires at the airport. So that was kind of my my early dream. Let's go to Lucian.
Thank you, Richard. No, I didn't want to be a firefighter, but I wanted to be the next best thing, a carpenter. When I was growing up, my dad was always working with wood, and I fell in love. I got intoxicated by the smell of the wood, you know, that beautiful smell of yellow pine, you know, when you cut through it. I said, oh, I've got to do this for a living. I want to enjoy that all the time. So as a kid, I wanted to be a carpenter. Let's see. Are you able to talk, Frank? Yeah. Can we get to Frank? Can you go, Frank, bro? No? Still mute.
Unmute yourself, Frank.
Come on. Push the button, Frank. Left corner.
There we go.
There you go. Yay.
Yay!
Wow. Actually, I tell you, I don't remember having dreams what I wanted it to be. But look, thanks to God in the last many years, I have done everything a child wants. I've experienced everything a child wants. I've done outdoors. I've crawled on the ground. I've seen nature. I hiked mountains. I swam rivers. All these things a child wants, I'm still doing. So I'm a child now. I don't know how I was when I was a little child. I was meeker. I was introvert-like. But now I'm an open child for the rest of my life. Very much. Thank you.
I want to be Frank.
Okay, you're next. Okay.
I already went. Can you choose somebody else? How about Mel?
Huge.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Nice to meet you all. When I was very young, I saw a film which made me fall in love with Africa. And so I decided I wanted to be an anthropologist. And I did not become an anthropologist, but I spent a lot of time in Africa and Asia, visiting other cultures. And so it is my avocation rather than my vocation. I actually do legal work. And do I get to pick someone else? Let's see. How about, I'm not sure who's gone and who hasn't gone. Beth, have you gone?
No, thanks. Nice to meet you, Mel. The first thing that I can remember wanting to be was a trapeze artist. I was around, this was when I was younger than, 5. I maybe was 3 or 4. And I went through my entire life with my mother's friends telling me how wild I was. They could never believe there was such a person like me because I was less than 1 year old. I would do somersaults out of my crib. And then I would come on, to where the party was with my mom and her friends and do somersaults off the table. I just wouldn't sit still. So I was not a trapeze artist or in the circus. And let's see, Jeannie? Jeannie, can you unmute? Press the lower left-hand mic button. It says mute and unmute.
now, I think. Am I here now? Okay. Well, I think I wanted to be a lot of things, but in hearing people, I'm remembering the thing that I really liked was I wanted to be a singer or a dancer or both. I stood in front of the TV and while everybody else was watching it, and I was standing in front of the TV singing and dancing with it, and thought that's what I was going to do for a living, but of course that didn't go very far. And then after I got a little older, I wanted to be a counselor, but at that time, a teacher or a nurse was the only thing that we even knew women could be. So I went on into nursing, and then later on got my counseling degree. So I kind of did it all except the singing and dancing. Thank you.
Can you name somebody, Jane?
No, because I don't see any names. I know Leslie. I'm gonna do Leslie.
Okay.
Well, I had a lot of cousins, so we would play in the yard. The first thing I can remember, we would play superheroes. So I wanted to be Wonder Woman every single time we played. And so the second thing I can remember, I had a wooden door in my mother's sewing room, and all my cousins would gather in there with me, and I would teach them. So I wanted to be a teacher. And the last thing that I wanted to be when I was young was one of Janet Jackson's backup dancers. So that didn't happen.
You know, Leslie, you are still Wonder Woman. You're still Wonder. So thank you. You that's a beautiful segue. We're gonna let's relish what we've got going so far. It's beautiful. I can feel the energy in the room. I hope everyone's enjoying it as much as me. We're living our dreams. It's cathartic. It's beautiful. And I think let's carry this through now. We talked about our special guest. We've got Richard Chapman in this video coming up in which we are really reestablishing our values. We're looking at how we can go from a competitive to a more collaborative world. And thanks to Tim, who's here, for making this video. And we're gonna go to it now. Rona.
Supermarkets are amazing places. Just the abundance of things on offer, 24 hours a day, the complexity of choices available to you. There are 20 types of butter, there are 30 types of honey, 40 types of shampoo. More choices than you can possibly want. It can be bewildering the amount of innovation that goes on in here. My name's Richard Chapman, and for 25 years I've worked with some of the biggest names in here, bringing you those innovations. I know that for each one, there's a culmination of a process lasting months or years, involving dozens or even hundreds of people, researchers, packaging technologists, quality assurance, all working hard to get these products and these varieties on the shelves to you when you want them. Companies need cash to operate, and many companies get their cash from investors. These are people who are willing to put money in, often their own money, into an organization, and the understanding that they'll get it back with some return. That's what creates the objectives and the ambition for the company. The company will turn it into something that says, okay, we need to get here by then, and this is how we're going to do it. That's a strategy. And if you do it right, the strategy creates the employment, the stability, the rewards for the hundreds of people we've already talked about that work in these organizations. Now, most companies grow through one of three ways. They can sell to more people, they can get people to buy more, or they can get them to buy more expensive ones. Nowhere does it say anything about people wanting to buy more. Now, buying more stuff, does satisfy and fulfill some pretty fundamental human needs. The needs for success, the needs for achievement. These are pretty animalistic needs. They have some issues with them. Not everybody can be the best. There can only ever be one winner. Achievement and success is a zero-sum game. It's binary, it's winners and losers. I have to look after myself, and that means everybody else loses. There are a whole other range of human needs that aren't being satisfied through this model. The need for connection, the need for learning, growth, love. None of these needs are satisfied through consumption. They're much more human. There's no limit to these things. They're not zero-sum games. They are non-zero-sum games. There is no limit to how much you can give. There's no limit to how much you can learn. There's no limit to how much you can connect. Now, the natural consequence of all this consumption, all this production, is damage to the natural environment. Places like this, beautiful, desolate even, this isn't how they're supposed to look. This is a result of our damage to the environment. This is the result of overgrazing, overproduction. Nobody wants this to happen. It's just a natural consequence of our consumption, our want. And want leads to more want. It's insatiable. So why are we doing it? Well, we're doing it because we're trying to provide for our families. We're trying to protect our tribe. We're trying to look after those who mean most to us, to protect those connections that we most value. Being together is significant. It's one of those deep-seated human needs, not currently being met or valued or even measured in our economy. It's important because what we measure matters. What we measure becomes our objective. But not everything that we measure matters. If you ask people what matters most to them, what they value most, they'll say human factors: love, togetherness, connectedness, happiness. Yet our society seems to value economic factors the most: GDP, growth, wealth creation. What if we change the metrics of success? What if we took the things that are most important to us and made them the most valuable? What do you think it would be like if we put human factors at the heart of our economy?
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next segment, which is our roundtable discussion. And just a couple of things that we're going to just talk about the etiquette for a minute about our roundtable. Do we have the graphic? Great. Okay, so what we're looking to do here is we're kind of looking to build a picture together, right? None of us have the whole picture, right? Each of us has a little piece of the picture. It's like a puzzle. And if we put it together, we can see something more clearly that's bigger and better than any of the individual parts. So a couple of things that will help us get there is everybody speak briefly and to the point, right? To make sure that everybody gets a chance to go. There's no, it's everything is collaborative. We're adding here, right? So we don't want to disagree or judge or anything like that. And then when you're not speaking, you're actively listening. So we're trying to really absorb the answers and the feelings from the other participants. Okay, so let's get started. So our first question, there's going to be two parts to this. The first one is, it's kind of just additive. We're just looking, think of it like a toolbox. We're just looking to kind of add the tools in. So keep it brief, up to a sentence. I'm going to just call on people as we go to keep it moving and make sure everybody gets a chance. So the first question is, what in life do you value most? Okay, so what in life do you value most? Try to dig deep inside because we have all been programmed, right? We are being programmed all the time. We see over 7,500 ads a day. I think it's a lot more now because we're in front of a screen, right? So imagine that we're seeing over 10,000 ads a day telling us what we need, what we're missing, what we're lacking, why we're not good enough. Let's think about what really, really matters to us. So I would love to hear from Rono.
Thank you, Sarah. What do I value most is the ability to have a positive influence on people.
I think Nina's also writing these down so that we can have like this great list. Okay, fabulous. I would love to hear now from Denise. We can't hear you, Denise. I think you're still
I'm
muted.
sorry. Can you hear me now? Yep.
Yep.
Okay. The first thing that came to mind is kindness. Kindness.
Dr. Marlene.
My grandchildren and my pet. The love we give back and forth, and how we take care of each other.
Beautiful. Richard.
Thank you. Yes, the thing I value most, I think, when I reflect back, is being able to be honest with yourself and with those who are closest to you. And being honest with yourself is probably one of the biggest challenges that we face today.
Frank. Remember to unmute yourself, Frank. We want to hear your gems. Frank, press the mute. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what I value in life, and I've been able to enjoy the last 17 years for sure. Number one, of course, health. Without health, you can't enjoy it. What I appreciate is the magic of nature, music, and most of all, to be with spirited, youthful people. These are things I enjoy. And many of us have missed that in the last 3 months. People with lively people like everybody in the group here. But that's the main thing, to enjoy nature, beauty, and of course, you have to, I also am interested, also like things with the mind, financial, economic, and international affairs, but mainly to experience life, the beauty of nature, the beauty of music, and the beauty of people. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Love you.
Nancy. Unmute yourself, Nancy. We can't hear you.
Definitely help, but I believe in people. I really, they're very important to me. My connections with them. I love people and having strong connections. That's what's really most important to me. It's just love and interaction. It means a lot to me. I don't know how. I think connections that just stay, that you can count on. It's the people that you can count on. You need them. I love that. And I have to interact with people, and this thing is driving me crazy. This COVID crap. Oy. So there
Thank you,
go.
Nancy. Thank you. Mel.
I'm going to agree with Richard, who said honesty. I think first you need to know yourself, to be honest with yourself and know who you are, and to expect honesty from other people so that you have trust in your life. So I'm going to agree, honesty and trust are vital.
This is a great list we're coming up with. Paula.
I would have to say dependability, being able to count on somebody is definitely important.
Adrienne, if I'm saying that right?
Yes. So truth has pretty much been my eternal quest forever. But as I'm sitting here listening, I'm adding some other things, which wisdom would come pretty closely after truth. Forgiveness, very, very, very valuable, especially today. And I think all of those things require a lot of understanding.
Jean, am I saying that right?
It's Jeannie. Well, the first thing that comes up to me is family. My family is what I value most. And what makes me happiest is to be able to help somebody.
Hey, Teddy.
Just beautiful answers. Thank you. All of you are. I'm just thinking of a heart connection, a true heart connection that's very authentic.
Okay, so we didn't quite get to everybody, but we got to a lot. So we're going to move to the second question, and I'll try to get to the people that didn't answer in the first. So now, putting that list together, Nina has put it in the chat. So if anybody knows how to open the chat and needs a reminder of what we went through, you just click on the more button and it says chat there. And if you open it up, you'll see the list. But from your memory of what we just said, the second question is, what would happen if we put these values at the heart of our economy? All right, so this is the question that Richard left us with. So what would happen if we put these values at the heart of our economy? Tim, can we hear from you?
Yikes! We're in the same room, yikes!
I hope so. I'm wearing a very noisy hat at the moment. Well, what would happen? I think, wow, so much would happen, I think. I think it's a whole, I mean, I'm really excited to hear from everybody else. It's funny to be the first person. But I think ultimately, if we put these values at the heart of our economy, in the heart of, it's like we did this. We went out into Brooklyn, interviewed about 500 people once, a bunch of us. We did, what would make you happy? Everybody said family and friends. And then we asked them in the same kind of interview. We asked them. We said, what do you want out of life? And nobody said family and friends. I mean, I guess they already got them, but they could have said I want a better relationship or something. But I think, at the heart of our economy is a value that everybody buys into and runs the economy. And it's something that is just not relevant. It just isn't. It doesn't bring any one of us any value. I mean, really, the value is here, is in families and friends, is in relationships. And if everybody could, say, sorry, I'm fighting here to finish my thought, but if everybody could do it, it would be a great world. I'm going to pass it on to the next person because we don't have a lot of time.
Who haven't we heard from? Nina. We can't hear you, Nina. I think Nina was having some sound problems before, so we'll come back to you. Karen?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Society would look nothing like it looks now. To try to encompass everything that I heard, if we had love and forgiveness and connection and trust, and I'll add one that I didn't get to answer, loyalty, all of these things, if we had all of these things, society would be whatever it is that internally we all want it to be. We all want to live in a better society. We all want to live in a connected and united and loving society. And if we could just take a little bit of piece of everything that everybody so wonderfully said, we would have that really, really loving, beautiful society that we all desire.
I feel bad for the person that has to follow that. Frank, could we hear from you again? Unmute yourself, Frank.
I hit mute. Upright, I hit mute.
Frank, hit it one more. Yeah,
There you go.
just
There you go. There you
don't
go.
touch it again. Don't touch it again. No. Yeah,
There
don't
you
touch
go.
it. Yeah.
Do it again.
Frank, only hit it one more time. One more time and leave it.
If you have a space bar, you can use the space bar as a temporary unmute too.
Oh, didn't even know that. Okay.
Quite fast. I'm okay?
Yes.
I'm kind of, oh, amen. Okay. What drives the economy? It is basically survival. The people work, going back to basics, to have enough to eat, to have a shelter, so they won't die of starvation or the elements. Conversely, companies, no matter what pretty things they say, are there also for survival. Because if the company doesn't watch its costs, doesn't get the business, they will be bankrupt, out of business. That is the driving force behind. Now that so much progress has been made compared to 500 years ago, survival is a little bit easier, and companies and individuals can think of values. Now, if companies would share the values, it would be a better world. But still, underneath it, you have the basic survival attitude. Let's hope it could change to be ethical survival would be the answer. Ethical survival would be a good answer to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Dawn?
One of the things I was going to add to the list a minute ago was, you want Frank to mute?
Yeah, Frank. Frank, mute yourself, please.
Was tranquility and peace. And I think that if we had an economy that worked off of these qualities, that we would have tranquility and peace. We would have sustainable environments. We wouldn't be so competitive. We would be content instead of wanting more and more and more, which seems to be the way the world's going, you know, the latest and the greatest. Be a pretty awesome place. Thanks.
Well, it's you couldn't really get better than that, Dawn. Our time is up for this question anyway, but I think Dawn really, Frank leading into Dawn and just hearing all of you, and it's I had that exact feeling that Dawn described perfectly, which is, you know, it's not, we're not chasing all the time. It's like we can actually we can actually enjoy the things that matter to us instead of always trying to chase the things that don't matter to us, and causing this memory loss of the things that actually matter. So we're going to go back to David for another song, if he'll play for us. Will you, David?
How can I say goodbye when you are still alive within my heart? How can I even try when the end just brings us right back to the start? How can I say goodbye when you are still alive within my
Thank you, David. Thank you. I think Lucian was gonna say a few words, yeah?
Sure. Yeah. So it looks like Richard wants to jump in. We were at the point in our meal where we got the dessert. It's been sweet. It's been wonderful so far. It's going to get sweeter. So Richard, can you jump in?
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucian, and thank you, David. That was really quite startling. That was very, very powerful. Thank you very much, and thanks very much to everybody for your contributions over the call. Thanks for the invite as well. Just a couple of reflections on some of the things that I heard from you guys, and some of the things that have been going around my head over the last few months. One of the questions, or one of the interesting ideas that I have in my head is the difference between value and values. Values is a very human thing. It's a very personal. When you say, what are your values? People will say, honesty and love and kind of loyalty and forgiveness. Value is a very economic term. It has a monetary value to it. It's a very binary thing, and I find the word value weird because it has this double-edged sort of nature to it. What's the value of that? What's the price of that? How much does that cost? The value of them? Well, how much do you value your connections with your friends, with your loved ones? We've all noted how much we value the connections of the people when you can't have them, right? We've all gone through that in the last few months. When you can't have those connections, you massively miss them. And the value that having those connections brings to your life is enormous. So I think the word value is a really interesting one and a dangerous one. And I think we kind of, when I talk about it in kind of the work I do, I'm trying to work out where the value really is. And actually, the the push on that I'm trying to create with people, with the companies I work with, and just in the conversations I have, is actually the value of your work. And the question I'm trying to sort of dig into, and I, you can ask yourself, and you can ask the people around you, is who judges the value of your work? Your work has a monetary value. People pay you for the things you do if you're lucky to be employed. It comes with a monetary value that is judged by somebody somewhere. Somebody has to put a monetary value to the things you do. But is that how much it's actually valued? How much do you actually give to people? So, I think right at the beginning, I think it was Rona, or I can't remember who was sort of saying, my positive influence on others, that's the most important value that you have. How do you put a value to that? Because that is, that's a really, really powerful statement. And those sorts of things. So when I talk about, or when I set the question of what happens when you put human elements at the heart of our economy, it challenges you to ask, well, who's judging the value of what you do for the human economy? Because it's not a sort of distant shareholder saying, well, if it's adding 10% to my bottom line, or if it's growing sales by this much, that's not human value, and they're not the best judges of the value of the stuff that you guys do and the stuff that we all do in our day-to-day lives. So that's kind of one element, that whole idea of value and all the rest of it. That's one idea I'd like to leave with you. And the second idea, I think, so it might have been Dawn as well, my veterinarian friend, was talking about contentment and how do you be content. There's an English journalist called George Monbiot. He's well known in sort of writing long-term on environmental issues and all these sorts of things. But he talks about the idea of public luxury and private sufficiency. What he means by that is we're all chasing our own private luxury. We're encouraged to have as much as we can. So private luxury, everything we can have for ourselves, as much as we can have for ourselves, zero-sum game, to the expense of everything else. His idea is, what if there was an emphasis on private sufficiency? So everything you need to be content, but public luxury. So the stuff you don't need to worry about, the stuff like transport, healthcare, even minimum basic living standards. If you have enough sufficiency for yourselves, then actually private, the public world can become more luxurious. And actually his idea that you can shift the emphasis of what we really value to, as long as I've got enough, that's fine. I don't need everything. Let's invest actually in sort of in the public realm. It's sort of fairly socialist, and I understand those sorts of difficulties. But those two ideas, the one around value and how do you actually value what you're doing, and the other one about contentment. What do you need to be content? And actually, what everything else then is a bonus, and actually should be for everybody. So those are two sort of thoughts that are sort of behind some of the thoughts and feelings you heard in the film. And thanks very much to Tim for editing it together. It was terrific working with you. So anyway, I just wanted to leave that with you.
Thank you so much, Richard. It was beautiful. The star of our video. Thank you so much for your beautiful comments. So I think we have a couple of comments, Michelle, from Facebook maybe, or YouTube that we'd like to hear. Can you share them?
Sorry, I wanted to share them a little earlier. It's regarding the second question that we had. We have Yulia that is saying, if we would build economy while caring for each other, we would have everything we need, and not one person would be hungry or homeless. And Michelle, actually from Facebook, is saying we would care more about people than things. Thank you, everyone on Facebook, and please continue sharing, and I will share here for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Alana. Thank you. That was nice. So we don't have a lot more time, and in the interest of time, I would like for those of you who enjoyed us, if you could maybe send us, I'm going to put my email here in the chat. maybe you can send us any comments that you have or impressions that you would like to sort of guide us in the future. We'd love to hear from you. So please write us, at the email I put there, because right now we're going to do something really fun that I really think it's really cool. We're going to have a little spotlight. Okay, so for those of you that are extroverts, this is going to be great. For those of us that are introverts, it's going to kill us, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to do a little maneuver, dance, whatever, and I'll start it off, and you got to mimic me. So this is like Simon Says, okay? We're going to have the music going, and then we're going to just sort of get this thing started. So can we get that started, Rono?
It is a new world. Let's shout it loud. Look out for new times, they're coming along.
Okay.
Reach out to new skies, the world is your own. New sparks behind all the dust. The time has come to collect all the parts. Seek out the new signs and open your heart. It is a new phase, go back to the start. Look out for new words and open your mouth. It is a new world, let's shout it loud. It's a new stage for the first time. It's a different law for the first time. For the first time we all feel the love. For the first time we can rise up above. It's a new stage for the first time. It's a different law for the first time. For the first time we all feel the love. For the first time we can rise up above. Посмотри на этот мир for the first time. Посмотри на этот мир for the first time. Посмотри на этот мир for the first time. Посмотри на этот мир. Ты и я на одном корабле. Наша общая цель — объединение. Мы посланники ветра, чтоб каждый узнал. Любовь и отдача — это сила в нас. Все, что захочешь, только скажи. Нас направит свет через мрак темноты. Хочу наполнить все сердца, чтобы каждая точка дошла до Творца. Дошла до Творца. Покажи, как устроен этот мир. Я хочу увидеть все. Помоги мне, нету сил. Покажи, не могу я больше ждать. Товарищ, друг и брат нас разделяет вновь опять. Покажи, it's a new stage for the first time. It's a different law for the first time. For the first time we all feel the love. For the first time we can rise up above. Покажи, как устроен этот мир. Я хочу увидеть все. Помоги мне, нету сил. Покажи, for the first time we all feel the love. For the first time we can rise up above. Покажи, it's a new stage for the first time. It's a different law for the first time. For the first time we all feel the love. For the first time we can rise up above.
All right, that's the first time.
All right, that was awesome, everybody. I hope you had great fun. So again, we'd like to hear from you. Please send us your comments, thoughts. And right now I'd like to turn it over to Nina for final announcements.
Hi, friends. Do you hear me this time? Okay, wonderful. It was so great to have you all with us today. Wonderful event. Thank you, Richard. You spoke so beautifully, enjoyed the video. We have a very exciting announcement. Some of you who have been connecting to our events, the past few events before today, we were showing various clips with scientists, and those clips are actually from an amazing movie. It's an independent movie called Crossroads: Labor Pains of a New World View. And this Sunday, on the 21st, at 6 p.m. we will be doing a special Open Diner event, a movie night, where we will be showing this movie. So the Zoom link for that will be exactly the same as for this event. If you have the Zoom link saved, it will be the same. Also, to sign up, you can go to our Facebook page. It's We Are One. That's WEREONE on Facebook. And we will be doing a screening of this movie. You don't want to miss this event. It's an amazing movie about the human condition, our worldview. It has speakers there such as Dr. Amit Goswami, Neil Donald Walsh, Peter Joseph, Caroline Miller, Nicholas Christakis, James Fowler, and others. Some of you might have heard of them. So that's the exciting announcement today. And I think at this time we are going to close the Facebook Live. And whoever wants to, we're going to keep the Zoom open for about 15 more minutes. If anyone wants to stay, hang out, this is free time.